Tuesday, September 9th, 0711 a.m. New York time. Welcome back, investors, to Winning Wall Street's Money. Happy Taco Tuesday. Going to discuss United States stock indexes, stock indexes that are broad, more than just one, and an individual company of one of those major indexes. That being said, are you situation aware of the event that's coming in 2 weeks? It's a huge event. It's scheduled Wednesday, September 17th, 2 p.m. New York time. United States Central Bank, aka Federal Reserve, has a meeting to vote on interest rates. Certain U.S. stock indexes are much more impacted, specifically the Russell 2000 small cap companies, much more impacted on interest rates. They have less cash on hand. So again, they borrow a lot of money, and higher interest rates are going to hurt their bottom line. Just because interest rates move up and down, that doesn't necessarily mean that's going to help the company, their product, or their service. If the economy is slowing, people have less money to spend, they're going to cut back. And those companies typically take a hit first. Yeah, many things involved here. On the left is a watch list. That's a watch list of the futures market, the stock indexes in the futures market. A lot of green. Look at the red one. That's the Russell 2000. I just mentioned that. It's red. So again, the futures markets open at 6 p.m. at night and close at 5 p.m. Yep, they've been open all night and they're open right now. We'll look at the cash indexes. The cash indexes, U.S. stock market is not open. Doesn't open until 9:30 a.m. New York time. This is the S&P 500. 5-year chart, each candle's a week. So since it's Taco Tuesday, currently the candle is not done for the week. And this is the major stock index that institutions and individuals that more in the know watch, look at, to compare their financial portfolio with. This is a stock index. It's not the currencies. It's not the commodities. It's not fixed income. It's publicly traded companies. Just because you have a mutual fund or investment portfolio or hedge fund, that does not mean it's invested in stocks, nor does it mean it's 100% invested in stocks. It's your financial instrument. You should be more situation aware of what it's invested in. They are not all the same, but this you could buy directly. Bottom left, the low of the past 5 years has not been tested down here yet. Nope. This is the low, again, down here of 2022. It did not take out the low from back here. This is the low this year. Last week was the all-time high in the S&P 500. This week, see that yellow candle? That's programmed to notify me that we haven't taken out the higher low of the prior candle. So that's called an inside candle. This is a gap here. It has not been filled yet. Very concerning. So the S&P 500 stock index has several indexes inside of it. One of them being here, the NASDAQ 100. What's the NASDAQ 100? It's high-tech companies. It's less diversified than the S&P 500. So all the way here in the bottom left, down here, this was 2020. And look at here, 2022, we broke that low. This was a swing low. We tested and broke it. So this was underperforming the S&P 500. Again, the S&P 500 is more diversified than this index. This index is heavily weighted with the Magnificent 7 stocks. They represent a large part of this index. Here's the high for the year. So the high of the year was not last week. It was several weeks ago. And currently inside candle for the week. So again, that's a difference. Look at the S&P 500 here. Last week was the all-time high. NASDAQ 100 struggled and couldn't make that all-time high last week. It's underperforming the S&P 500. That being said, It's having a negative impact. It's hurting the S&P 500. You may know this index made a press release, public information. They were changing out several companies. Yep, they took out several companies and replaced several companies. They took out companies that didn't maintain the requirement. There's a policy to be listed on stock indexes. They got letters, those companies, tell them how they correct things. They didn't correct those, so they eventually got removed and replaced. I shared some of that information yesterday on my Patreon page, which companies came in here, which ones went out, and also been sharing the other ones for the past several months that got replaced. They're replacing stronger companies on here. That helps also goose up this index. But those companies that were put on here, they have a smaller percentage of this index, less impact. So again, here's the NASDAQ 100, underperforming. This is the Dow Jones. This is one of the oldest stock indexes in the United States, very diversified index, but it's only 30 companies. Look at the bottom left. There's the low, 2020, and the year 2022 did not test that swing low. So again, the NASDAQ was the one that was more underperforming, hurting the S&P 500. Also, last week was the all-time high. So again, the NASDAQ is weaker out of these three indexes. So we have the NASDAQ 100, the Dow Jones. They are part of the S&P 500. This is the Dow Transports. This is the oldest stock index in the United States. What kind of companies are in here? Transportation. Your shipping companies such as merchant ships, airlines, trucks, rail. Yeah, transportation. United States is what is it? Consumption nation. Yep, likes to spend. Products and services, transportation they need. If a weakening transportation is occurring, that may be an early sign economy slowing. Top left was the high of 2021. Then here, 2024. So again, this index has been declining. Here's the high for the year. It's underperforming. It's hurting the S&P 500. And look, for the week, it's not an inside candle. Nope, it broke the low of last week. Lower high, lower low. That's a trend. The trend is declining. Transportation is declining. 20 companies. Again, here's that low, 2020. Here's that low for 2022. So this swing low was not tested. Let's go to the next stock index. Dow Jones Utilities. These companies pay some of the highest dividends. People invest in these stock companies that pay high dividends when they think the economy is slowing down. They think companies' growth be less, and they want to earn an income on top of the speculation the stock will go higher. So you what? You buy your treasuries, bonds, CDs, or you speculate, buy utilities, and high income would be the dividends, and hoping the company's going a little higher. Still exposed to risk. This year made the high. Currently, we broke the low of last week. It's in a trend down, declining. And here's that low, 2020, 2023. Yep. Took a while to catch up, breaking that swing low. Part of the S&P 500 there. Again, it's hurting it. The Russell 2000 is not part of the S&P 500. Again, I mentioned this has a correlation much more tighter to the interest rates. When the interest rates are high, it hurts this stock index more, vice versa. Look at the bottom left. And the top right. Last year was the high, still below the highs of last year. This week, inside candle. Last week was the all-time high for the year. It's performing better for the year to date compared to the NASDAQ, but again, still underperforming last year. Let's zoom in here. Top left, S&P 500. Top center, NASDAQ 100. Top right, Dow. Lots of inside candles for the week. It's only Tuesday, and your stock market's not open yet. A lot could change between now and Friday when these candles complete. So again, the bottom left and the bottom center this week already made lower highs, lower lows. Dow Transports. We'll look at one company inside the index, an old company that's been around for a long time. Yep, UPS, the brown trucks, brown uniforms. 5-year chart, each candle's a week. Top left, that was the high of 2022. Each year, lower highs. This week, look how we're doing. Lower high, lower low than the prior week. Also, new low for the year. Where is the business going? Again, there's several companies in this index I just showed you. Thank you as always for spending just a little time with me. That's it for the video. Thank you for watching.